right, thanks for sticking around for the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. I'm Rich Walsh in for Bob Pompiani tonight, and we have another all-star show with an all-star panel. A lot to talk about. Joining me tonight from the Fan, Jeff Hathhorn and Chris Mueller, also Robby Incmikoski. And obviously, guys, we're going to start with the battling Buccos and that disaster of a bullpen. We'll get to that in a second, but I want to start with Paul Skenes. Become more efficient, 3 straight wins. It seems like he's really found his groove, Jeff. He goes 7 innings for the first time in 2 months, and I think that's encouraging, especially after coming off of that disaster of a loss last night.
Yeah, even though he wasn't dominant, he looked in control. It looked more like Paul Skenes. The last couple of starts have looked more like Paul Skenes. Even if you take some of the numbers out, just watching it with the eye test. I mean, maybe his fastball actually ticked up a little bit in this start. Maybe that was due to the break. Maybe fatigue is part of this deal. I will also say this. Cleveland's offense is horrible, so that should factor in, but Paul did look good.
Well, I would say that I would focus on that last part first. I think like Thomas Jefferson or South Fayette might have a better offense than the Guardians, who just struggle mightily to score runs. I mean, they make last year's Pirates kind of look like the 27 Yankees, but I thought it was just important that Paul Skenes, knowing how bad this bullpen is, got them deep into this ball game and went the full 7. They needed an efficient, deep outing from him. They got it. I know I harped on the Guardians being so bad offensively, but they're still a team with a winning record that's fighting for the playoffs, and he mostly handled them with relative ease. And then, kind of got some insurance runs to make it more of a laugher. But it was an encouraging start and kind of an encouraging trend, Jeff, as you pointed out, of his play of late.
Robby, how much did that break help Skenes, you think?
I think tremendously, Rich. You get him a start. Remember the Guardians were in first place going into this weekend series. Now it's the Chicago White Sox, the upstart White Sox. But when you looked at the struggles that Paul Skenes had over the last couple weeks, I know the last couple starts have been really good for him. But in terms of overcoming anything, I think this is the guy that does it. This is what a franchise pitcher, what a generational talent does. A guy like Paul Skenes, and you see this afternoon trying to win a series against a very good team. And that is 2 series wins. They should have won all 6. They should have swept the first place NL Central team and the AL Central team. Obviously, they didn't do it. Little meltdown happened last night in Game 2 of the doubleheader. But, Rich, nonetheless, I think this is what dominant pitchers do, and Paul Skenes is getting back to that form. Whatever it is, we don't know what is or isn't wrong or what was or wasn't wrong with Paul Skenes, but nonetheless, he's doing what he's supposed to be doing right now. ERA under 3.5.
Should have, could have. Chris, now we'll get to what everyone wants to talk about is the bullpen. Enough about Paul Skenes. I mean, what is going on? At one point, you think it's over and they can get maybe things back rolling again, but then you have Soto and Santana closing games for you with a 8+ ERA. Why are those guys even out there? Maybe why are they even on the team right now?
Well, I think that they've got a dearth of good pitchers. Like you said, what's the problem? They have mostly bad pitchers. I ascended to a higher plane of existence last night when they brought Santana in. Like, I was so serene. I was so calm. I achieved nirvana because you can't be hurt when you know something's about to happen. I was having buddies text me saying this game is only going to last 2 or 3 more batters. And but for a miracle, it would have only lasted, I think, 2? Soto's doing what he's doing because they don't have anybody better. I think they might now in Montgomery. I would start thinking about, at least in the short term, Montgomery pitching the highest leverage innings in games. Santana has no excuse to still be on this roster. They used Matson twice, I believe, in this series, both to kind of mop up blowout wins. I would like to see Isaac Matson throwing in later situations and leverage spots in games. Dennis Santana is the worst reliever I believe they have in that bullpen. They just don't have enough good pitchers. They need 2. Like, that's why, I know we're going to talk about this, but that's why this obsession that I think a lot of fans have because he's from here and he's phenomenal with Mason Mueller is a little misguided. They don't need 3 outs spoken for most nights. They need 6 outs, sometimes 9 outs spoken for from their bullpen that they don't really have right now.
Jeff, that's 18 blown saves. I mean, what do you do with a guy like Santana? What happened in 1 year?
Yeah, I mean, he came into the year, and even early in the season, he was your closer. And there wasn't even a question about it. He was your closer. There wasn't a competition for it. He came into the season being your closer. And I think they defer to that too much. Now, not that Don Kelly has a ton of options, but I still think they think that guy's in there. A couple weeks ago, he had 2 outs, got 2 easy outs, had an 0-2 pitch, and then ended up giving up a 2-run homer to Bart. But he was so close, they thought, all right, he's looking really good. Maybe we can get that last strike or that last out. We can find that in him. I think that's part of it. And I also think, listen, what was he going to do? Mattson was already used. Majinski was already used. I mean, if you're going to have the guy, you're going to have to use him. He didn't cost you the lead, but he cost you the game. They just need to have better options for Donnie.
Robby, how much is this bullpen on Donnie Kelly?
I don't think as much as people portend to say that it does. And here's the reason why, Rich. They had a plan going into this season. Dennis Santana was obviously a big part of their plan. They go out and get Gregory Soto, which he gets a lot of money for a reliever for the Pirates and the budget that they have to function on at this point in time and where they are as a franchise, Rich. So I don't think they anticipate this guy's ERA tripling from one year to the next. He had an ERA a hair over 2 in 70 games last year. Now he's north of 6 in 40-something games at this point in the season. And it's just hard to go out and get people at this point in time in the season. I know the Mason Mueller talk is out there, but it's just hard to do at this point. And, Rich, like you mentioned before, I would throw a lot of caution to the wind, given that we're in late July, going to be headed toward a playoff chase at some point here in a month. When the games get critical, if they continue to win like this, I would put Carmen Majinski in that closer spot. I don't know why you wouldn't at this point. Given the results that you've seen so far, why not let a hard-throwing guy like Majinski go in and just see what you get at this point? It's hard to get worse than what they've gotten here the last little bit. Even though, Rich, give a little credit where it's due, they've held it down 2 of the last 3 games.
So, Jeff, speaking of Carmen Majinski, are they misusing him? Because you look at the game on Saturday, he pitched 3 innings. Why didn't he pitch 4? He only threw 41 pitches. And then he's probably not available until, Tuesday, maybe? I mean, I guess Robby mentioned he could be a closer. He could be your late inning, high leverage guy. But that's not his plan right now.
Yeah, I would agree with you. In that scenario, he should have closed the game because you knew you were going into a bullpen game. Who knew what we were going to see from Christian Curtis? No one could have predicted he would go that long, be that effective. So you think we need as many bullpen arms as you can. If you want to criticize Don Kelly, I think that's an area where you could. Even though if you're trying to look for fewer pitches so he could use them more during a week, they're probably not going to do that. Let him finish out the game, especially going into a night game where you're going to need your bullpen. A rain delay is possible, so you may be down another pitcher because of that. I think that was just a mistake on Donnie's part.
So, Chris,
if the bottom line here is, Rich, if the bottom line with Majinski is they're going to try to piggyback him with Jones, then you've got to plan on it that if Jones gets you at least 5 innings, then the next 4 should be Majinski's unless he really blows up. I also think that he would probably be a little bit of a malcontent, if I had to guess, if they asked him to close games. But you've got to be disciplined about how you use him. You pick a path, and then you really go to the hilt with that path. So I guess I'm with you in the end. Why not have him pitch that last inning? I don't get it. I will say, I know the player is not happy about his role. He's not happy about how all this went down. And at some point, he's got to suck it up, and they've got to tell him, put on your big boy pants. This is a playoff chase. You want to make money. You want to be part of something that could be special. Then you've got to put your personal feelings about all of this aside and try to do what we need you to do. Because I think they're trying to cater to the player here because they know the player is upset.
I think Mueller has a great point in that situation. Look, like I said a moment ago, the plan was the plan. Obviously, things have clearly not gone according to plan. You have the situation with Majinski. Clearly, he's upset he wanted to start. We know starting pays a heck of a lot more than coming out of the bullpen. But closer is a pretty good position as well in terms of being a high-leverage, hard-throwing bullpen, hard-throwing guy, high-leverage guy. Like Carmen Majinski is in the situation. I just think, with Santana not panning out, Soto not panning out, all these other guys not panning out, middle relievers is the highest roster churn that you get in Major League Baseball. At this point in time, they are literally in a playoff spot, tied with 2 other teams right now, the Cardinals and the Marlins. Okay, and they're chasing 2 teams that they can chase down if they don't make these mistakes. Why not go with Majinski?
All right, stay right there. Coming up next, we're going to talk about and break down how do you fix it. We'll dive into that after the break. All right, welcome back to the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. I'm Rich Walsh in for Bob Pompiani tonight. And Chris, how do you fix the bullpen? You got to make some kind of deal. You got to trade some assets, whether they're prospects or guys that are on the major league roster. I threw out this week, and we talked about it on the nightly sports call. I'm all in for trading Brandon Lau, strength for strength. I don't know if you can trade him to a contender. Maybe it's a 3-team deal, but that's who I'm dealing to try to get the best 2 or 3 relievers in here?
Well, I think that's the problem, is that a contender might have a really good relief pitcher and no offense, but like Cleveland is an example. They've got a phenomenal closer. Holderman's been great. They have no offense. They could definitely use Lau's bat somewhere in their lineup, regardless of where they played him. But they're not trading guys that are part of their strength for that, even if it's strength for strength. So it's a hard trade to execute. I'm not as hot to trot about trading him. I know he's been in a bit of a slump. He still has 21 home runs. He probably has 22 if he doesn't have the wind blowing dead in against him last night in the second game of the doubleheader. I still think the fact that they got him and the fact that he produced right away and what he did for this offense, kind of kickstarting it into what it's been. I know you're only positing this from a strength-for-strength perspective, but I think it would send a terrible message. I have a nice, easy one. Trade a couple medium-level prospects for the medium-level, decent, like above-average relievers that you know are going to be available for not a crazy price. You get 2 pretty reliable, they don't even have to be lights out, pretty reliable guys who can get you like the 7th and 8th innings of games or even the 6th and 7th. I think you help this team immeasurably.
If they even won, say, 3 or 4 of those late inning, didn't blow 3 or 4 of those late inning leads where they had a high percentage win probability in the 7th, 8th, specifically the 9th inning this season, they're in a way different position than the one they're in right now. And we talked about this a bunch earlier, and Mueller just pointed that out. When you look at free agency this offseason, they didn't need to go get the big bombers. They needed a productive O'Hearn, a productive Lau. They got Ozuna, as we obviously know. So, yeah, I would take that same approach in terms of the bullpen. You just need somebody who's not going to come in with a gas can at this point in time when you have a 3-run lead, a 4-run lead, and give Donnie Kelly a little bit more flexibility going into the next evening's game. So, look, they're in a tough position. The plan did not go according to script, and hopefully they're able to find some solution, or at least find some internal improvement from that bullpen.
Damn you, Boston Red Sox, just for being the Red Sox, but also for winning 13 straight games, taking Aroldis Chapman out of the trade discussion, and maybe putting it into the minds of some of these teams that aren't playoff teams that, you know what if we ran off 10 in a row? Maybe we don't want to get rid of this player. Let's make it harder, or let's wait a little bit longer because, you know what, I still think this team could get hot. So I think that's hurting the Pirates at this point. And another solution here for this is not just the trades, it's what we saw today. If starters can go 7 innings and you only have to use 2 guys in the bullpen and you could match up, this bullpen is so much better than if you're only getting a starter into the 5th inning. So put it on the starters. Let's see if these guys can take it into the 7th inning or through the 7th inning like we saw with Paul Skenes today. They're supposed to be the strength of the team. I put some of this on them too.
Jeff, are you entertaining Mason Mueller at all?
I mean, listen, if he is available, and I don't buy that because the Padres are 2.5 out and they've got maybe the most aggressive GM in baseball. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're the ones that go out and get the huge names before the deadline. But if he's available, do I listen to it? Absolutely. He's still within price range, and you know in the 9th inning, lefty, righty, doesn't matter. You know you've got to win if you get through 8.
Chris, why don't we just bring David Bednar back?
I wish he had never left.
Me too. Yeah.
You know, watching Rafael Flores try to call a game and catch a game was painful to me. I would be open to bringing anybody back. This is where I guess I differ from a lot of people. I don't need it to be a big name. I don't need it to be a guy who's from here. I need it to be a guy who is a competent later inning arm. They don't even have to be a closer. I think the biggest problem this bullpen, and by extension Don Kelly trying to manage it, are actually facing here, Rich and guys, is this. With so few people to actually rely on night in and night out, hey, I know when I put this guy out there, I know what I'm going to get. He's resorted to just pulling guys quickly. There aren't any kind of like lighthouses in the storm that they can just go to and say, this guy's pitching the 6th if we need him to, and this guy's pitching the 7th, where you can get some role definition. I think you guys alluded to that. You know, if you have these guys in more defined roles and you just have a couple steady presences there, I do think it makes even this kind of unimpressive group a lot more reliable.
All right, we got to take a break right now. Coming up next, we're going to talk about what to do with the magician. Do you extend him? Is it too early? Back in a couple minutes. All right, welcome back to the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. I'm Rich Walsh. All right, Esmeralda Valdez, the magician. He's been on fire the first what, 30 games now we're at, and 12 home runs, historic run. Robby, do you even entertaining try to give this guy an extended contract?
No.
Something, try to buy out some of those free agent years and add a couple years.
Not after 30 games, absolutely not. And remember, this guy was sent down to the minors. And then I don't know.
For the password.
I don't understand why Valdez was sent to the minors to begin with. He started pretty hot. Again, yeah, the numbers could have struggled a little bit, but absolutely, positively not after 30 games into somebody's Major League Baseball career. You got to see a longer track record, see some consistency. The league is going to punch back at him. Let's see how he makes his counter adjustments at some point in time, because we know it's going to happen. The skill set seems to be the beater. Power does, not yet.
Let me ask you this, then. Did you like the Connor Griffin extension when they put that one out there? He had played, I think, a handful of Major League games at that point, and he got 9 years, $140 million. I'm serious. Did you like it or no?
Yeah, I did, and here's why. Because you look at the skill set that Connor Griffin has, and you look at what he does and the track record that he had in the minor leagues. And this guy was a top prospect in baseball. Nobody was talking about Esmeralda Valdez, and I'm not saying he's not going to have a great career. I'm not taking away from that. But I'm not ready to give a guy an extension after 30 games. Connor Griffin, I think that's your minimum bar when you're a team like the Pirates for buying out a guy that's...
He's the magician. 8 years, $100 million, right, Chris?
After 30 games?
I'm just going to make my case here. If they offered him 8 years and $120 million, which is, what, $15 million a year, back of the napkin math here, I believe, and tried to buy him out till he was 30 years old, I would laud them for doing it. I know, Robby, your argument that Griffin's got this incredible 5-tool skill set. I agree with it. That's why I like that contract. Esmeralda Valdez has shown so far what I would call unobtainium. Monster, cannot be contained by any ballpark to any field, raw power. Look at where he hits his home runs. Dead center, right center, pull side. He got jammed on that home run today. The Cleveland pitcher, I think, believed that he had gotten him out with a fly ball to, like, the track. Maybe the ball went about 40 feet over the fence. The guy has something that the Pirates have absolutely craved and can never find, and he's in their system. They've had him in there for 5 years. I'd give him the contract I just said, and I would be happy about taking that risk.
Jeff, state your case in like 30 seconds.
Yeah, I'll make this quick. I think he is the most important bat in their lineup for the second half of the season.
Wow.
Because he's the only right-handed power stick. They've got other left-handed power sticks. He's the only right-handed guy that brings you these type of numbers. But I would not extend him. The one advantage you have as a small market team is you have time to wait. I want to give it a little bit more time. I'm not extending everybody. Chris, I get your point, but I'm not extending him.
You're just buying out a couple years.
I value him, but I don't extend him yet.
All right.
Amen, Jeff. Amen.
We can't extend this segment right now. We got to go to a break. Back in a couple minutes. Imagine you and your 3 closest friends meeting Paul Skenes. Number One Cochran is making it possible in partnership with the Pittsburgh Pirates. They've created the Behind the Skenes sweepstakes. You can enter for the chance to win a Paul Skenes meet and greet, 4 tickets to a Pirates home game, an autographed item, and Pirates merch. There's no purchase necessary to enter. The sweepstakes is open through August 4th. Register now at pirates.com/Cochran. All right, welcome back inside the Number One Cochran Sports Showdown. The Open Championship is in the books. Ryan Fox, he shot at 62 yesterday, 68 today, Jeff. Nice round by him. But I think the big news out there at Royal Birkdale was, did Bryson DeChambeau cheat? Did he cheat? Rory McIlroy thinks so. I kind of think he was cheating a little bit by stepping down that fescue in the wrong spot.
Listen, let me first say this. Ryan Fox reminds me of like every high school football coach playing golf. So kudos to him. Like, he's like Arnie out there. That was awesome and good for him down the stretch. I think this with Bryson. I think the rule is a little sketchy, but when he took that big last step, he knew he was pushing the grass down behind him to allow him for a swing. Now, you can argue whether or not that should be a rule, shouldn't be a rule. But I would find it hard to believe that he didn't know that by taking that huge step, that he wasn't providing a window for him to swing.
Chris, we're all golfers here. We know what's going on. We know that step you're making to try to knock it down, to give you a little advantage.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, shout out to Foxy. He's also aspirational because he played the last hole. I think combined time over his shots was maybe 40 seconds. That was awesome. I love fast play. I love great play when it's fast. Bryson, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, I think he did it intentionally, which means I think he cheated. Bob Friend, former PGA touring professional, called the PM team on Friday and said so eloquently, he looked like Sasquatch stomping around in there. Anybody that's been in high grass knows that when the club gets caught by grass going back, that can mess you up. I thought the second angle that we got later in the night showed it pretty clearly. I think that was deliberate act by him. He got caught with his hand in the cookie jar. He can pout all he wants, but it was the right ruling.
Robby's never in high grass, but I'm sure you appreciate what Rory said.
Well, I think it's a beautiful course with a beautiful play, and it was a beautiful tournament, Rich, no doubt about it.
And Chris has a beautiful shirt on. There's a lot of high fescue over there, too, at Longview Club.
Rich, let me say something else really quick about Rory. We always ask these guys to speak their minds. He did. I laud him for it. None of this fake nice stuff. Say it right out there with your whole chest. I don't like the guy. I'm not a fan of his. I don't really think that what he did necessarily looked on the up and up. I love it from Rory. Here, here. Tell it like it is, buddy.
Yeah, I liked it too. We'll wrap things up. Coming up next. Stay right there. All right, welcome back. We have only 30 seconds, guys. Was the World Cup good for soccer in the U.S.? Did you guys enjoy it?
Loved it.
Huge fan of it. I am not a huge fan of whatever Argentina was playing in the final. Hey, try to score. Do something. You've got Lionel Messi. But yes, it was a thrilling watch. A lot of those games were terrific.
I hope all those countries have a different feeling about us by watching it and watching the United States.
Eliminate offsides in soccer. Eliminate
They love ranch dressing.
All right, thanks a lot, guys. We'll see you next week.